This was not the Origin we were seeing at the World Championship. The team that, despite being top 4, was still averaging gold deficits in the first 25 minutes of the game, but this was the Origin actually doing well early on, finding good matchups, making different plays in the lane swap. Oh, give the gold to Tristana for a pickaxe recall to get a good 2v2. Oh, you have to force bang out of lane early because the item disadvantage is so great. These are things that did matter, that did blow up part of the gold lead. The side lane pushing was good for Origin.
They also made their biggest swing in the mid game off of the Baron trade for Dragon, which they are probably not going to be able to get again. SKT, there are many things that Kozmo will be talking to the players about after that game, and vision around the Baron post 20 minutes is probably going to be one of them.
You could already see the shifted priority on that Baron vision after that first one went down. The amount of picks that Origin almost walked into on SKT's side, just trying to get that vision back, double pink ward there every time. Defend a lot more. SKT wasn't playing as 1-3-1 heavy as they usually have. They were actually playing a pretty heavy 4-1, just 4 members around that Baron area with Mar, and continuously showing us why Fiora is becoming one of the best top picks in the game right now.
It's a champion we might see banned away in Game 2, but we're going to talk about Game 1 a little bit more with the analyst desk, so we're going to send it down to Dash and crew.
Thank you, gentlemen. There is so much to talk about here because we set up so much, and then so much of it went differently than we may have assumed. I want to start with picks and bans. Jungle, with Gragas out, we saw Origin go and try and pinch the jungle. Bengi decided to show them that he can play Jarvan.
Yeah, I think the pick and ban revealed a lot about these teams. I actually do like what Origin did in the pick and ban phase by banning out the junglers, and because by doing that, they actually force SKT into either banning the OPs or trading things. And the reason I think this is interesting is throughout this entire tournament, it's kind of been the Mordekaiser and Gangplank. But if we consider the picks that were huge in the quarterfinals, Tom Kench, Lulu, it starts to extend. SKT didn't want to trade 1 for 2, even if they had the first pick. So by banning out the junglers on the red side, they actually made SKT make a pretty decisive choice, and SKT did end up limiting their options a little bit.
Well, I think the choices Origin made were because they had to once they first banned Elise. Once you ban Elise, you no longer have 2 bans left. You're going to ban Rek'Sai, or you're going to give them a free Rek'Sai. So once SKT started banning out the regular purple side bans, I think they're like, well, we kind of already dug ourselves in this Elise ban, so we have to keep going with it. And that kind of like flowed for their pick and ban, even though they didn't want it.
Right, and what this ended up doing was giving SK Telecom many of their comfort picks. I mean, we talk about Easy Hoon. We associate him with Azir. We talk about Bang. He is now 13-0 professionally, undefeated on Kalista. And so these kind of picks coming through, when you can't throw these more targeted bans out, they're going to get the comfort picks.
Yeah, I mean, it's the nature of being on red side. I still like what Origin did because you don't have many options. Like, they can't then ban out Azir and Fiora because then they're giving them the pick of the litter jungler and a trade of OPs.
Well,
like, it just didn't work.
Their decision was good. Like, they had to give up the power picks, they realized that. So they picked the counter picks. Like, although Victor isn't a counter pick to Azir, he can do well.
The attempted counter picks.
But the Kinnan into a Fiora, I think, is great. I think the Tristana into Kalista is great as well. So if you're going to have to be giving up these picks, at least have something in your pocket to play against it.
Let's take a look at how that manifested in the game as we look at SKT grabbing that victory. We saw the lane swap come through. Looked rather in favor of Origin as they had a quick push with Tristana, but they decided to leave Soaz in the long lane following the initial turret falling.
I think this was tunnel vision incarnate. So they get the counter picks on Kalista, they get it on Fiora, and they go, okay, we can lane 2v2 and 1v1, yay. But they don't realize, like, Tristana's going to auto-push, so they can't really freeze that lane when normally when you lane swap, you get a frozen lane and a lane that you have to defreeze. So now they're sitting in a lane that they don't get to freeze, and they have to de-push top. But, like we said, in Origin likes to send their jungler bot lane. Eve goes bot. Kinnan is alone top. Poor guy.
With no wards in the river.
With no wards in the river. And even if he did, they're just going to chase him down the lane and keep freezing it. There's nothing that you can do in that situation as a solo lane, like, top laner. Like, you have to have your jungler, you have to have your support. So I think they tunneled really hard on the counter picks and abusing them, and they didn't realize that it kind of like destroys how 2v1s are played.
And I actually think the outplay that Soaz did to stay alive did a lot to save Origin's early game and ended up giving them a bit of an advantage because they spent so much time chasing around Soaz for no total gold gain. Meanwhile, Amazing got like a 15 or 20 CS advantage while he was not having presence in the lanes, and that did give them a mid-game spike, but that actually really shouldn't have happened unless Soaz makes that ridiculous escape.
Yeah, and but later as the game progressed, I mean, we saw 100+ CS difference for Marin because it was SK Telecom. We talked about how they can increase these gold leads, how they are very good at assigning lanes and making sure they get all of that gold, and so they really started pulling ahead in farm over time.
No, it was funny. We had these statistics coming into the day where SKT averages at 20 minutes a 4K gold lead. And Origin averages down 160 gold at 20 minutes per that graph that we showed. Well, today in this game one, Origin was up 700 gold at that 20-minute mark with, with that, and then follow that up with that amazing Baron call at 23 minutes.
I think Origin played really well this game. I was very impressed by their play on the map. They did the same thing against KT, if you remember, in the game in the group stages, trying to take this early Baron. And, I mean, this is right after we did see SKT sort of win a scrap, and they had an opportunity to get some wards down, but they really didn't respect Origin. This is all dark, as you can see right now. So it made it a very easy, very good Baron call for Origin.
Yeah, and these are the types of games I like to watch because, yeah, you can make an argument that SKT should have had vision of this Baron, or they should have had early wards down, but so many of these plays weren't big misplays. They were just the other team taking advantage of opportunity. Even at the very end of the game, when Origin was trying to kill the split-pushing Fiora in the top lane, I think that was the best play they could have made when they double teleport and get the Baron play. The execution of the play wasn't necessarily ideal and it didn't work out for them, but it was still a really well-played play.
Now, so I want to really quickly break down then how it all fell back into SKT's favor, because Origin, for all intents and purposes, was set up to win this game with what they were doing within the first 25 minutes.
Well, I mean, the SK Telecom did have a very nice scaling composition, and that Fiora got so far ahead and so tanky. And I know that Jat wants to talk about the itemization a little bit in this game because he felt very passionately about it.
Yeah, so this was an Origin game. Origin pulled even with SKT, and then we actually got to see what SK looks like when they're challenged. They outplayed them with the split push, and I think Origin made some big itemization mistakes. Niels was snowballing the game pretty well, so he had his core 3, Bloodthirster, Static Shiv, and Infinity Edge. And then I think he wanted the Scimitar in case Fiora tried to zero him out. But in doing so, by starting BF Sword, he delayed his item build so long that the rest of SKT saw the BF Sword, built Warden's Mail on 3 people, and Niels didn't have armor penetration, which neglected the opportunity for Origin to find the right team fights. And it's one of the big reasons SKT wasn't punished while they're split pushing.
Well, a little bit of time for both of these teams to continue to rethink their strategies moving on to Game 2. We're going to take a quick break as Origin look to bounce back and tie it up in Game 2. As we go, we'd like to give a shout out to Declan Wadey, who developed the Skin Spotlight camera tool you've seen in action throughout Worlds 2015. Don't touch that browser. The World Championship semifinals continue when we return. from here as a team when they're looking to refocus for game 2?
I think Origin just needs to continue to be creative in their draft phase and hope for a similar game they had in game 1. They were in a position where a couple team fights go a different direction and they win the game. I really like what they did in the draft phase because there are 2 specific subsets of champions that you can starve in the draft phase right now. Junglers and the OPs right now. So unless SKT is willing to play the same red side game that SKT did last game, they're going to get the same thing, or they're going to get one of the starved champion pools pick the litter.
And what I really liked about Origin, and we talked before, what does Origin have to do to make this a competitive match? Well, they came roaring out of the gate, much more aggressive play than we've seen before, getting those early game leads. And that's something that has not only not happened against SK Telecom, Origin has not been doing it either. So this is a really strong, I think, initial performance and might make this best of 5 much closer than I originally thought.
If you had to look at one individual on Origin to step it up this time around, who are you looking at?
I have to say amazing. I think he got caught out in some of the later team fights and was playing a bit risky as to how he was checking around vision. And he does need to do, I think, a lot more. And I'm also concerned about the low amount of pressure he put out in the early game in that last one, as well as the presence around Soaz in the top side.
Yeah, if you watch his early game, he sent both of his extremely farm-heavy paths ended up bot lane while the Tristana was pushing. I understand you have to save that lane, but this is during top lane's fiasco of he burns TP and flash. So I think they're still not understanding where he needs to be at all times, like where the most efficient pathing is for him. And then, yeah, later in the game, once they lost, the vision control over Baron was really, really weird. They get the first Baron, and then this is OG's style that I was talking about earlier, that they're kind of getting better into like the slow kind of play that SKT is really good at. And it shows, like, they got the first Baron, that's great, but now where are the pinks around Baron? Where are the vision control around Baron? The next thing that happens is SKT just sets up camp around Baron and continually catches Origin trying to come back in.
All right, well, it's time to see if Origin can tie the series in Game 2. And as we check in with the casters, Marin shares SKT's strategy for dealing with Origin's strong team coordination.
일단 부담감은 그렇게 크진 않고요. 그래도 평소에 하던 대로 하면 될 것 같고 오지팀이 운영을 좀 잘
before they start making those plays, but it was actually Origin that actually started out with a strong early game, and it was SKT making really clutch plays at the end of the game that got them back in.
Yeah, the 2 main things, the 2 factors that really led to that comeback for SKT, the huge split pushing threat of Fiora. Marin's been great on this champion. Yep. And then obviously EasyHoon on the Azir, classic champion for him. The late game so secure with that.
At the same time, we can pull into question Amazing's pathing and just how he wasn't helping Soaz that often, because he made a phenomenal outplay, juking that flash, then going to the brush and teleporting out. But all intents and purposes, Soaz should have been dead right there. That should have been a snowballing Marin in the laning phase, and that could have been the defining matchup that early in the game already, and Amazing couldn't get as much done at the other side.
And I like that point with a small tweak of actually not going to help Soaz, but making the play on the bottom side of the map. There were multiple times where Amazing was on the bottom side of the map while Soaz was taking up the time of multiple members, and he wasn't able to punish Bang and Wolf, who were in the extended lane.
So now we get to see what adaptations are made as we get ourselves into the game. Back in game 1, SKT blue side of those 100% pick ban champions of Gangplank Mordekaiser. I guess Mordekaiser actually more like 97%. He went by once, but now Origin making some swaps. They're figuring out what SKT wanted to play. Now they're doing some very specific bans. The Azir is already away from EasyHoon. They retain the Lulu ban here, and we can see that junglers are not pinched yet.
Could see a Rek'Sai ban here from Origin and then going for the Elise first pick. That is one of the strategies you can do, or just leave them all open and get the Kalista on your side.
I think we may see the TF come to prominence again as well here. EasyHoon's Azir is banned out though.
I would almost rather ban Fiora and then leave, you know, all 3 of them up and try to get the right sort of pinch going. Because if Rek'Sai and Elise are both up, you can just trade 1 for 1. It's not that bad.
I would rather see a Riven locked in to play against Fiora, just because I love that skill matchup and it's so snowbally.
The question is Soaz good enough to handle Marin in that matchup, though? Marin has been absolutely ridiculously good this tournament so far. And do you trust Soaz to win the 1v1?
If you
send matchup, he has to win the
Is it a 1v1 though?
Well, exactly.
Sure,
you have to. If you see a Fiora Riven matchup, you send you send everybody you can to influence it.
Well,
all right. There's
Rek'Sai up, but that of course allows a trade of other champions. The Tom Kench is available.
This has to be a Rek'Sai first pick.
Wasn't even picked last game.
It was banned,
Right.
if I remember properly.
Hey,
So-
you're both right. No?
Hey, look at us! All of us putting our stats into
I don't
work
think
here.
it was banned, but
Maybe I'm wrong then. Maybe it wasn't blue side banned and I'm just silly. Well, either way, the Rek'Sai first pick did come through. There is the Tahm Kench.
maybe it was.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Either way, you were right that it wasn't picked. So 100% Kobe is correct.
So remember though, Thresh does a very similar thing, or Origin will use Thresh in a very similar manner. Well, they'll have Mithy trail on the side lanes that are split pushing, use the Lantern for a long range save of someone who's trying to control minion waves.
And if this Orianna gets locked in, I wonder why exactly the Elise ban came through from SKT. The only sort of OP they got from this trade was the Tahm Kench.
It probably just got to a point where they're comfortable playing any jungler into Rek'Sai, and they think that matchup disparity just is smaller than playing anything into Elise, because SKT have shown to love Elise. 5 first picks in 5 blue side games leading up to this game all have been on
Every
on
jungler in the world Elise is the top tier right now. So like you don't want to play into that.
Yeah, the question is the delta, right?
Playing into Rek'Sai is much more of a generalist. She is strong, does have a slight advantage.
I'm not debating
on
this
most
strength.
other ones.
It's the delta between Rek'Sai Elise and then Rek'Sai next.
Exactly. And I think
SKT decides that the Rek'Sai next delta is not as big. That's what it comes down to, and they decided that Tahm Kench is worth picking up first round. The Orianna, though, blind pick is very atypical. SKT have never, I believe, first round blue-sided a mid laner.
No.
Or red side, rather. But
Easy unafraid. As
Origin
well.
to make their choices. Though the dual lane locked in here, Tristana picked up quite quickly.
Just want to get more feel of what Origin's going to bring to the table so they can cater their jungle pick, because now you have to go into, instead of like these generic junglers that work in every situation, you may want to get something very specific for this matchup.
And you have to look at the whole team comp as well. With Tahm Kench and Orianna locked in really early, it looks like a very defensive lineup coming out of the bat here. But Sivir being locked in to boost the speed here of the entire team. And we'll have another look at Bengi's Jarvan.
Well, that's interesting, actually, the fact that Sivir got grabbed, because normally we saw Tahm Kench do as well with a Jinx, right?
Yeah.
Protecting a hyper carry.
The hyper carry here is not the AD carry, it is Marin just on a top lane. This is, instead of a Jugger Jinx, Jugger Sivir composition, may just become like a
Jugger Fiora.
A Jugger Fiora composition where your entire lineup revolves around facilitating that top laner. A lot of the strong top laners in this matchup, in this meta rather, have weaknesses in terms of mobility. Well, that's solved. They can fall low in fights. That's solved, and you have an Orianna for these team fights later on.
Also, may I say,
You may.
the Kenshi is actually a big threat in himself, and speed boosting up Tahm Kench is very scary. Tahm Kench only needs like 3 stats: health, speed, and you can throw on some resistances and cooldown reduction.
It's basically
And,
health,
and
yeah.
he's good to go.
Speed of spells, cooldown reduction, great, more health and speed. Well, the last few picks here for Origin. Will they go back to this Victor for Xpeke? He played a ton of Anivia last week. Looks like he's back to the Victor here. The Fiora will get grabbed up by Origin. No, it does go back to the Anivia. So, 2 major carries, a nice back line. Anivia can do plenty.
Baby.
And now SKT say, all right, well,
So I do like this preemptive sort of attempt at a counter of a top lane melee carry from SKT, locking in the Anivia and Morgana. You can do a decent amount to hinder the movements there of whatever top lane carry, but it looks like just an more early game focused sort of base damage oriented SKT.
this is what Marin wanted to do. This is the counter pick that Someday had prepared against
That's risky though.
2 Tigers, and it didn't work out. Now the Renekton does come through, so it's not quite the Riven versus Fiora matchup, but it is Renekton.
Not even close.
versus Fiora.
I feel like it's
It starts with the same letter.
completely different.
You do AoE with pressing Q. I mean, this is the same flavor of champion in a lot of ways.
Origin with another composition that they've run a lot before, where they just have incredibly slow game pace later. Like I'm talking 35 plus minutes, wall on one side, ulti on the other, and Tristana only needs 5 seconds to tear away at your tower. So Origin with some tricky teamfight game. That's what they use the wall for, the bindings, the black shield, and then in the late game, once they start sieging, this is an incredibly hard to defend against siege composition, because later, like I'm talking 35 plus minutes, wall on one side, ulti on the other, and Tristana only needs 5 seconds to tear away at your tower. So Origin with some tricky teamfights here, but if SKT can close the gap, catch Xpeke with a single CC, the fight can turn, and they do have the tools to do that.
Yeah, and I feel like SKT do have an early game oriented advantage as well here versus Origin. Anivia takes quite a while to scale up there, and Renekton right out of the gate is going to be huge. To your point, Freak, the one real big similarity there is the riposte versus the stun that's hard to see. Renekton's stun is not telegraphed very much either, much like Ribbon's. So that is the really difficult part of this skill matchup.
You have to guess. You have to guess when the stun comes out.
And it's the really entertaining part, because then you get into the mind games of how early are you going to throw it out. Because after you throw a post, if you don't hit it, Renekton will punish you severely.
He will punish you. So we'll see if that punishment happens, guys. And you can let us know if you think it will as well. As always, tweet at LOL Esports, hashtag SKT win or hashtag OG win based on which team you think is going to take this one home. But right now, SK Telecom T1, 10-0 in the World Championship. They're going for win number 11. Origin want to win this one, make it 1-1.
Yeah, and then just an interesting matchup in the bottom lane too. Tristana playing against a Spell Shield, playing against the Tahm Kench. Devour can deny the explosive charge from doing damage if you're in Tahm Kench's belly. But at the other side of that matchup, you have Black Shield, and Tahm Kench only gets online once you get 3 stacks. That's when you get a super easy Black Shield to deny any of the effects of Devour or Tongue Lash. So
meanwhile, we have lots of champions toward the top side of the map here. Morgana moving in for the Tri-Bush binding. He can throw it blind.
Oh, wow. By chance, Marin walks forward. That would have been a flash down. And maybe even a kill if Peke landed Q.
All right, round 2, boys.
Marin's a genius.
Whoa.
Faked him out.
Well, they actually kind of have a bit of a surround on Wolf and Bang, but
is the cooldown back up, though?
binding is going to hit Wolf. They're going to land the stun for Nivea as well. Marin buys some time, and SKT walk away. No summoners lost.
Ooh. No counter wards, though. There's nobody infiltrating Origin's jungle. So right now, Origin is the team getting deep vision. Marin moving in again.
They land the bind into
mid.
Oh, and the stun lands. Exhaust is there. There's a flash by Marin, but it's not going to be enough. He will go down. Niels is going to get it. First blood to Origin. What a level 1.
And this is why I love Niels. Any other player would finish him off with a hit. Niels knows it's going to happen anyway, so he starts taunting Marin. Just hashtag just tilting, boys.
I would have liked to see the flare as well, but that's just bonus points.
Well, for the second time ever in the entire month of October, SKT have given up first blood in professional play. And now we're going to start with another aggressive jungle invade by the OG squad.
Looks like they're going to find the top lane up top for the 2v2 as well. Can Mithy stop the Krug, though? Because Tristana did get the first blood, but it looks like they've gotten away. Oh!
Hits Wolf, though.
With the Krug there for SKT duo lane.
But it's a matched lane with Wolf incredibly low and the rest of his team nearby.
And more importantly, you have a potion advantage. 3 potions here on Niels picked up in addition to that longsword, because yeah, he flashed for that kill. He needs to get level 2 so he gets a jump.
Bang,
Bang goes
wow.
shield, but
They're gonna hit Wolf.
Ooh. You gotta wait with that with that Devour too. You can't do it too early, because then once you throw him out, it'll still do damage. So perfect timing there from Wolf. And good aggressive play from Mithy.
And looking for the knockup there, Amazing has the red buff. Of course, everyone knows where those guys started.
Amazing showing in mid lane here, though, as he crosses from red to red. So Bangi knows that he has nothing left in the upper quadrant because his duo started the Krugs, and he saw Amazing go across. So let's take an eye on, keep an eye on Bangi here to see how he reacts. This is one of the most difficult points for a jungler, when you know you've been counter-jungled on one side, and you know that the enemy team knows it as well, and they're going to be defending against it. He might make a beeline to try and take away Origin to blue side, but that's so risky since his top lane is getting bullied here by Niels and Mithy.
Yeah, if he wants to go for that play, he needs YGO pushing in the mid lane, because Niels and Mithy pushing in the top lane, that could be a 3-man collapse there on that blue buff, setting him so far behind. Speke is showing. He's a good Nivea player, winning at the same time.
The other thing that you can do is level 3, Jarvan. He can go for a gank. He has all the abilities necessary here.
No flash on Niels, remember that. Black Shield just went down, so he's down for another 10 seconds.
Niels does have a rocket jump. Bind on Wolf, has to pop thick skin. And all as well, but Bangi's still around. Looks for the knockup onto YGO, he's going to flash away. And now comes the attempt for Bangi. Won't find a thing.
Amazing should be getting really far ahead right now.
OG knows this is coming. If Wolf walks up on this amount of health, just in the lane like that, going for a trade, you know you're about to get ganked. So Origin playing the necessary amount of respect. And yeah, SK trying to brute versus gank here for their bot lane, something they generally don't really do. They play around Marin.
Interesting. Amazing actually showing himself, giving up more information mid, but Bangi takes that opportunity. He places a ward on the blue buff, and he has Smite available. You can go for that really tricky Smite steal, but oh, he already stole it. Nope, that was his that timed out. All right, he's just going to leave him, and they just track Amazing. So Amazing is getting that lead I was looking for.
Bengi just spent all that time literally killing nothing. He didn't kill the crop. He didn't.
Scuttle Crab.
Oh, okay. He got. Sorry, he got a Scuttle Crab and a Trinket Ward. All right. Meanwhile, 2 camps over to Amazing. Marin back in the lane. He burns Summoner Teleport to get into the lane, keep himself alive. But look at this. Bang is alone up here. Just kidding. Bangi's there. Mithy's got to be careful. A great flash. Yep, not so much alone after all. Great Boomerang Blade. Bangi down a half.
Yeah, Mithy really regretting putting down
That
a torment
soil.
and soil that deals absolutely no damage rank 1 right now.
Yeah.
And then getting tower aggro. Bangi though.
Bangi taking a lot of damage. Great pickup by Wolf. Amazing. Gonna tunnel forward, but not find anyone to get.
No teleports available from the top laners, but mid laners could make their way top for a dive.
Right now, it's not the case. EasyHoon has recalled, has a Chalice, does have Summoner Teleport. Wolf's at full health, Mithy at half mana.
Amazing also just tunneled over the Baron pit to try and get into SKT territory here. He hasn't gone back to base though, so he has no wards, he has no jungle upgrade for his smite, and he can't get much done. What you need to do though, he's got this lead on Bangi, he's going to try and keep him down. Bangi's going to head bottom lane though.
Yeah, adaptation in this matchup to Niels using the explosive charge on very low HP minions to add 1 bonus damage to it, then proc the minion death for an instant AoE poke, because he knows if he uses it straight on Sivir, it will be spell shield or devoured, so it can't use that, but bang with the reaction, good spell shield, so seeing some experience in this matchup already.
So Bang has actually been spell shielding even just regular minion death ease, which is interesting for him, so he's getting a lot of mana that way, but actually, the way the abilities work though, one gets spell shielded, the other still deals damage, so Bang trying to make that play, Niels plays around it by actually having both spells hit at the same time, still takes damage on the Bang.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Marin is eking out that CS lead versus Soaz, and Renekton getting to level 6 first. Very scary in that matchup. So that's why we're seeing Soaz play so defensively down bottom now. You have to respect the all-in.
Alright, well, Peke's still pushing EasyHoon in. Shockwave will not quite put him into turret range though. Ulti traded. EasyHoon low on health. Peke though out of mana now. He's gonna have to recall.
Well, he's gonna need some help shoving that wave.
He literally can't even shove it himself. Marin is on the way, but was spotted by Amazing's Tremor Sense, but they didn't realize that there's the flash. Oh! Marin was still dashing. He couldn't land the auto attack to knock down Peke.
Yeah, too fast and not enough.
You almost knocked down Crepo there. He was so scared by that.
Too fast, but not quite furious there from Marin with that gank. He really didn't have to flash. He just EW would have been the correct play right there. Peke getting away with his life right there. But overall, both teams collapsing in the mid lane. This is something we've seen very often in EU LCS from Origin. Mithy pathing mid, dropping a pink ward for Expected on one side, then Amazing or Expected will place another pink on the other side, and it becomes impossible to gank Peke.
It's so necessary since his flash is down, and Nivea, this close champion,
Can't capitalize on that bind. Peke is stuck here. Really wants to push.
He denied it a couple. Yeah, 1 minute.
We're 15 gold for that bind, you know. Wonderful stuff there. Peke, though, still not recalling. He's sitting right now on 1,900 gold, so Catalyst here is waiting in the base for him right now if he wants to pick those up as his build. Still just sticking into this wave. Mithy Black Shield to get through the lane. Neil's level 6 right now as the lane swap back to the bot side. Peke loses the recall, but there's no flash for Easy. No, take it back. It's back up already. I expected it to be down, but it's already back.
Yeah, Bang and Wolf, they did a good job though. Staying even CS being down this many potions and some experience early, getting like those Krugs early. Now they're actually winning these trades. They stayed even on CS, BF against BF, even though they were laning against triple potion and a longsword in a double range matchup. Honestly, fantastic performance from them to keep that CS even and just nullify whatever advantage OT had in that 2v2.
Keep an eye on the wards. Oh, the ward's in the side brush.
All right. Oh, Summoner Teleport canceled, though. Looks like Peke did not want to go after all.
If you want to pull that off, you have to wait for the commitment in an engage down bottom, though. You're never just going to
randomly teleport.
Yeah, randomly teleport it to start it out. A binding has to land, or Tom Kench has to go all in.
Great pickup by Wolf. Here comes Bangi. Mithy's in a really bad spot. Does not have flash. Does not have anywhere to go. Okay, Niels can live, but it's still a 1 for 0. Great pickup by SKT.
Miscommunication on the teleport, and then great gank there by Bangi. Let's see what else they can get off of it.
A lot of control on the bottom side. Actually, Niels about to be surrounded here. Look how far up Bangi is. Ulti forced just to stay alive.
They're going to get the tower lead off of that kill as well.
Nice play by Marin. Baits out the riposte. You can see plus 14 minions already, so as getting behind in the matchup.
And this is what Marin was talking about in that interview, is like, we don't need to allow them to make those macro level gameplay shot calling victory moments there on Origin side. We simply want to outlane them. SKT right now 1.4k ahead again, another early tower here, and taking a dragon to boot. And that's what we expected from Origin, just playing slow, steady, farm up for late game. But a team as smart as SKT will punish you for that eventually.
And look how quick they're even playing. Land the smite, walk back to mid lane, let Sivir finish it off, make sure these waves are under control, and look at this, amazing. Stalking Marin through the jungle. Marin had ulted to hold mid lane, I believe.
Looks like they are prepping for the dive as they send Mithy up as well.
Turret's plenty healthy though. Summoner teleport up for Easy, and he can defend
Down
Marin
for
here.
Peke.
No
To the
ulti
bottom
on
lane.
Marin. Amazing will pull aggro. Here comes the teleports. Here comes a ton of damage. Holy cow, he's already gone. Amazing. Does flash to get away. The heal helps a bit. And Izuhun did cancel the teleport.
Yeah, so both mid laners failing teleports on side lanes here, and it is equalized. But the big rotation from SKT, they were already in transit with the duo lane, so the tower doesn't go down afterwards. SKT hold on to their objective lead, and Soaz has to...
He has flash though. A nice black shield stops the knockup, so it doesn't even have to flash away. There's no chance to kill him. There's not enough magic damage in the kit to break the black shield.
Yeah, good play there for Origin, just preserving the flash on Soaz, relying on the black shield against the Tahm Kench, and it was actually expected that canceled Easyhoon's teleport in the mid lane. He got stunned out of that because signature move, you're gonna dive top. Well, expect all he has to do is find the Hoon, stop his teleport, because he himself can't follow.
Yeah, not that big a deal. I think Easyhoon wouldn't have been able to get much done up there, but the blue steal is very important against Anivia, denying that resource from Peke in the mid lane. He does get the shove into lane and might be able to wall off Easyhoon from one minion wave, though.
It is good against Anivia, but let's not forget Peke.
Oh, this
here.
Nice play though. Force the flash, still lands a stun. Amazing. Oh no!
No.
Overextends. He's missing flash. Soaz gets some damage in, and all is well. Nothing too bad picked up, but now look at the bottom side. Soaz has teleport. Marin, once again, being attacked. Here comes the aggro. Wow, a big minion chunk gone, and Mithy had aggro. A nice double slice and dice. More slows in for the team, and they just keep stacking everything in. But Wolf is here for the save. Soaz maybe went a little bit too far. All is well. Man saved. Peke, meanwhile, turned into an egg, and the push comes in. But Amazing is here! The two-man knockup trades onto Bang. Mid laner for AD carry. And Amazing still in the chase, but no one's around to make this still happen.
Mithy are heading up, but fairly far away still.
Amazing taking more damage than he probably needed to.
The unburrowed range nerf right there.
I think it might have still been on the cooldown.
I believe the timer was timed out.
Well, meanwhile, though, Marin back to the bottom lane. Wolf was nearby this time around, though. They know to hide back. Soaz will not find the dive. Meanwhile, top lane just has waves and waves crash into the turret, suicide him. Here comes the push towards the backside. Can they find Easyhoon? No.
They found him. He's in the mid lane.
He's in Kench's belly.
In the mid lane.
Yeah, really good dives here set up by Origin. Good execution from Marin to make it out of there alive. Really playing in front of the tower and then double dashing his way out of there. Just in time for Wolf. They did deny the blue buff unexpected. Let's see why he went down here. Just not respecting that Bang being MIA. A really good use of Sivir ultimate and aggressive flash to take that expected egg.
Yeah. So if Peke was willing to flash, he needed to flash Shockwave. So just a great pickup there by Easyhoon. And okay, that re-engaged to at least trade 1-for-1. A great play by Amazing. So he's getting a much better game than he was in game 1.
Something we've seen from Origin overall, though, where they're setting up a really solid play at one side of the map, and they're just simply not respecting the other side of the map enough.
Wolf and Bang have made very quick recalls to swap between lanes, and the Tahm Kench has already saved many alive.
All said and done, the Origin are up 1 kill total right now. And the mind game of when will Riposte come out continues to evolve. Soaz this time didn't even press it, and Marin didn't even try to stun. Fun to watch them go back and forth with the mind games there. Another giant lead for Marin.
Another interesting point about Marin is that the champions he's been selecting, Renekton and Fiora, over and over here at Worlds, are champions that build into Tiamat. Tiamat is such a crucial part of how SKT control minion waves. It's crucial to their game plan that Marin, as the captain and as the one who gets the experience lead early, is able to quickly clear the minion wave and then make his map movement afterwards to keep up the extra pressure that SKT try and work with. Tiamat already completed here for him, and he has a huge CS lead to work with.
Better damage on a Wolf, but all is well. Bang had popped the ulti to keep the chase going. YGO does have Shockwave, but Mithy is around with the chance of Black Shield. Peke is out of mana, though. He can no longer slow anyone down. Dodges the tongue, all is well. Bot lane's getting pushed in, no one's holding it.
Scuttle crabs are very important, yes. So, 4 people mid for SKT. They're trying to trade bottom lane for mid lane pressure here. And with Peke out of mana, I think they'll be able to make the trade.
Yeah, look at the hesitation from Niels. He tapped actually away from that bottom lane tower into the triangle, saw the pink ward, doesn't have time to kill it, now returns back to the bottom lane, and this is the key difference.